All right. Ah, here we are again. So, another Monday. Another stream. It's been a good week. Under the circumstances. I got I've been you can just see it there. That's my heart plug. My Harkonnen heart plug. Got a Holter monitor on, some experimental thing that monitors my blood pressure, so I can, because I've been having a few problems with that lately. It's taken me about a month to get the heart monitor. It's also going to cost quite a bit of money, but that's how it be. In the meantime, here we are. We're back at it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I am just going to start. Now I've got, you can, like, that little black thing just there, that's actually the cables for a drawing tablet. That's sitting on top of my my bag collection. And I'm going to be messing around with a drawing tablet. So to drill down a little bit into the state of the stream and all of that sort of stuff. I've got a lot of ideas and stuff. This has been good for productivity. It's a little bit of accountability for me. And I think I'm just going to keep going, even if, no one's really watching and all of that sort of thing. That's fine. This is more for archival purposes anyway, I think. I also bought a Stream Deck, it's a Stream Deck Neo. Probably shouldn't have bought it, but it is a fun little toy, and it does seem to make life quite a bit easier. I can outsource all of the hotkeys and stuff to the Stream Deck instead of constantly having to dance back and forth between what I'm doing and the keyboard. I won't be hooking up this little this drawing tablet just yet, even though I'm busting to. That was actually the thing that I was keener on, but I think I'm going to just leave it for the time being and actually work out. I really enjoy mapping. I actually suspect that mapping and drawing is something that I should have been getting into. But for whatever reason, I mean, for all the writing and stuff, it's gone by the by. The catch is that I also want to I want to do it properly, at least on stream. It's not just going to be heaps and heaps of time of me just sitting there doing nothing and farting around with tools and stuff. Wonder Draft. And this is sort of what was talking about, drilling down. The last stream, Wonder Draft, is really good, but it's too memory intensive. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave Wonder Draft to the side, and I think the way I've got it set up is I'll just show finished products on stream, and I'll, we can talk about them in a little, in the interest of properly world building. Instead of just seeing the process, I think I sort of vacillate between seeing the process really granularly on stream. I want every step documented, but then there's another part of me that sort of goes, man, just show. You get too caught up on the workings of it, and you need to just show the product. Even the product, like the map, isn't. It's not one and done, right? The map isn't the world and then that's it. You've got to block everything in and stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, Wonder Draft, I'll just be showing like the exported maps from that. And in the meantime, we just try and sort of manage what we're doing. Now, what I'm going to be doing... Yeah, persistent zoom, baby. So actually, I got the cameras dialed in as well. So this is Razgoth. This is the Razgoth that I drew on stream the other day. So what I think we're going to do is go through. I've got most things here. I might actually pull up World Anvil as well. Oh, this stream deck's pretty good. You press the key and it jumps up. So I think what we're going to do is maybe press out some of these to-do lists. So, and we might start adding in some cities and stuff. I feel like that's going to be kind of a good use of time. So I've got 4 nations, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got the last peninsula or the lost peninsula. I've got the names of three nations: Hyber, Tormenta, and Horrendosa. Hibernation, Tormenta, Horrendosa, and there's one more, and I think I'm leaning towards it being I think it was called Plutaria. See, okay, so the short list is Scourhage, the short list is Scourhage, Thanavanica, I think there was one more, wasn't there? Okay. No, because I think what I'm getting confused about is that Thanavanica. Okay. Plutaria. I really like Plutaria being the there's it's always I'm interested in. Okay, I don't like this anymore. Always, I mean, this is another thing. This is another reason that like streaming and stuff is useful, because this is the way I end up using my pencils. Like, I use them until they're this long and they can't fit in my electric pencil sharpener. Like, I literally can't sharpen them anymore and still get them out. This is the sort of thing that OCD. That's the sort of symptom that an OCD personality type or whatever seems to end up doing. So I'll dump that off. Let's just use the blunt one. See, this one I can't put in the. It's got a. This is one that my mother I got out of my mother's house. Anyway, so I want Plutaria is going to be the last lost peninsula. Right. I feel like Hyber is what we're going to call the Eldritch. Oh, also, this was another thing. So Hyber, which is the nation of primacy, they're currently the dominant ideology. because we also have, there's our little area of, that's them touching the void, touching the grand occlusion. There is a point of contact in that city, but Hyber is going to be the nation of primacy. And then we've got these other three. I'm gonna say that. So this is obviously Frozen Wave country. I believe I feel like that should have a proper name. Okay, Tormentor, Horondoza, and either Scourhage or Thanavanica. So this is okay. This was another thing I wanted each, or because the idea again, one of the core aspects of this is that these are not divided by race. I think there's this, again, it's one of the weaker points of Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of these role-playing games, where it's too easy to demark by race or species or whatever you want to call it. I understand why it happens. Like, it, you know, you want, it's again, it's that necessary abstraction. You want, you know, you want each race to feel special. They have slightly different abilities, yada yada yada. I think, but then I think it goes too far, because then people start just using them as stand-ins for real world cultures, and that just doesn't, you're missing out on so much doing stuff like that. So I don't know. I think having different races, like, there are still different races or species, you know. I use these two things interchangeably. I know there's like semiotic differences between them, but for the purposes of this, I mean, I've been playing D&D since I was 8 years old, and that was the parlance used. So, you know, I'm totally on board with, like, again, it's the, I think that it's okay to have differences in the different races, stat wise. I just, you know, when you start getting into like the cultural implications of it and everything. Anyway, the point being is that I wanted broad. Each one of these nations has a melting pot of all races, species in them. But I also wanted, it's the outside forces that are sort of influencing these guys. So I wanted that Hyber would be like an eldritch type. I would say there's also an infernal. I want to say divine, but I don't know. These two are always, I feel like we get a little bit caught up on those as well. There could be undead. What did I call them? Mortified or moribund? I had this idea right as I was falling asleep last night. Let's just have a quick look at the definition of moribund. I'm pulling out the phone again. Moribund meaning. Moribund. Oh, moribund, approaching death, about to die, on the verge of becoming obsolete, in a dying state, dying at the point of death. Which is what I was going for. So basically, like, undead, or at least death-centric. So that's something. You could have feralized. I think feralized might go for all of these things. I'm just looking for like broad categories that you could attribute to different peninsulas. Again, not in a particularly like pigeonholey way, but just in a like, yeah, almost a demonym. But anyway, what else was there? There was werekind. I had quite a few different sorts in my old world. I don't know. Oh, excuse me. I don't know where it would have gone. Let's have a quick look in the book. See, this is another. I've written so much and so many different things. Yeah, I'm not seeing. Anyway, let's. So I don't know. Like I think more templates, maybe templates from again 3rd ed, 3.5 ed. They were really good. Oh, excuse me. Mainly because they had like you could take the undead template and you could apply it to any creature and it would like give you a unique version of that creature. Skeletal, undead, ghostly. I think there might have been one for like void mind creatures, which were like creatures that had been brain suckered by the illithids, and it was like, yeah, they've got no brain, but their nervous system, like they're under the influence of illithids. And any creature could be that. You could have like void mind rats, void mind, illithids, like all sorts of crazy stuff with these templates. And I think that's sort of the birth of this design philosophy of the rule of 2. You have a core type, but then there's other things that make that interesting. So I think that's what I'm going for here, is like these are the templates, an eldritch, human, and you get the sort of look from that. And an eldritch, there's more in common with an eldritch human and an eldritch elf than an eldritch elf and a mortified elf. Anyway, but this is something else to consider in terms of these Scourhage, Thanavanica, Hyber Tormentor, Horondoza. I think I might put in Scourhage as the other nation, just because Hyber Torment Horondoza, Thanavanica. I like the idea that that there's a different one in there, Plutaria. Your 3 islands. So we're going to say that okay. Hyber. This is also this one. This bit in here is going to be called, so this little claw here of land, that's going to be called Barren Spur. So this is Barren Spur. Now, so Tormentor, Horondoza, and Scourhage. Mountains. This is probably the most material. I'm going to say materially rich, but past its, but destroyed. So materially rich, but destroyed. We're going to say materially rich. Well, might also put mountains in there. It's interesting doing this like off a slab of paper. Getting my first lefty stain in a few years as well from all the pencil. I'm going to say materially poor, but expansionist. So maybe these guys, I like the idea. Hyber's, okay, politically, Hyber's primacy probably always will be because they've got the ace in the hole with their point of contact with the Grand Occlusion. Materially poor but expansionist, just by sheer dint, have also managed to secure the shipping lane here. So maybe merchants and stuff like that. Over here, Barren Spur, this has just been mined to the shitter. It's a mountain range. I had this as a mountain range being a bit thinner. Ocean on both sides. And then I like sort of the idea of this being materially rich and well managed, and also being quite sort of like naturalistic, and just by sheer dint of maybe these guys. Okay, so materially rich and well managed. And I like the idea of these guys sort of being happy just to be down here. And there's a little bit of tension between Hyber and whoever this is. With these guys basically being in the middle, and they just want everything. They want whatever's going on over either direction, but they aren't powerful enough to get that. These two are the main competition, but they're geographically removed enough to be like off, like not in immediate competition, and these guys are just a bit past it. I think these guys might have an alliance with the islands out here, and that sort of buffers these guys a little bit. Okay, so with that in mind, so I'm gonna say let's go with Horondoza. I feel like Scourhage, and that makes this one. I like Tormentor for this because, so the way that the thing goes is, nature remembers violence. Remember, this is it's meant to be like a basically an evil, dangerous, inhospitable world, but again, very, it's got all the biomes, it's got all of the stuff. And that's like to be in it's this wonderful, like, lush, quite naturalistic environment. But it's also but it's a torment to be there. It's an ongoing thing. That's what the name suggests to me. So that's what we're running with. We're having fun with the world building, all right? You've got your three. So there we go. Horondoza, Hyber, Scourhage, Tormentor, Plutaria, Earth Orsar, which has its own little secrets, and that is that's the name of, so that's Earth over Sea. And that's again, it's a haunted vampire island. Right. And there's, and again, the idea is, so the history is vampires came to primacy. I'll just double check my, it's still blinking. Vampires with a prime sort of race. The first atrocity, so prehistory, the first atrocity marked the beginning of 4,000 years, and that was the season. No, there wasn't the season of atrocities. The season of atrocities is what happens every year when this thing goes down. So 4,000 years, there's something going to be in there. As far as the calendar, so I'm thinking, so a month so it's a 10-day week. Every 10 days there is an extra day, and then a month is 4. So a month has 42 days. So 1 day, 2 weeks, 1 day, 2 weeks. There's also there was, and then at the end of each year, so end year, there's 3 days. 1, 2, 2 days. 2 days, which are usually quite terrible. And then in the middle of the year, so 42, there's 10 months, so 420, 420, yay. And then the end year is 2 days. And then there was 1 extra day in the middle of the year, mid-year, well, why don't we call it 2 days? That means every 6 months you get 2 days. So that means that a whole year is, so you get 1, 10, 10, 1, 10, 10. And then every 6 months, so times 6, and then you get 1, 2. Yeah. So that gives you 424 days to a year. On top of that, you have, well, there's 10 months. Why don't we call it, and there's easily divided. I've done up. Let's have a look at the calendar that I did up. So this is another little fucking book that I've got. So this is my traveler's notebook. This was a little sort of semi-experiment that I did. You know, look, I've got there's my rune cheat sheet in there. I mean, just to give you a quick idea, and I've got laminated sets of the Elvish script, the Dwarvish script, and the Draconic script. There's the Futhark runes from Soul Reaver 2. You know, those are straight out of the D&D guide. So again, writing systems, you know, and this is all stuff, you know, world building and player handbook cheat sheet. There's all of the races and alignments and ability modifiers. You know, I could play a game out of this single book if I really wanted to. It actually feels a little bit slippery. I think there might be a little bit of condensation in this book, so we're just gonna pull these out. Yeah, you know, I've got shit like this everywhere, and I've got all of these. This is all to sort of aid my brain to increase the flow. And you know, remove the pressure points. There's the Cainite symbol again. Here's, you know, there's my little alphabet. I've got Draconic, Elvish, Dwarvish, Um, Thaloan, Enochian, Lovecraft's Journal. The font I have, I think it's the. Uh, is it the? No, it's the J. I have the J on my little finger there from the Lovecraft's Journal font. That's from Legacy of Kain as well. And then I've got the Elder Futhark in the traditional order there. Yeah, here we go. Razgothic calendar. So this is what I had. At this, I'm probably reinventing the wheel a little bit, but I feel like there's just, again, these are all experiments. So I had one day on either end of the month. I had 1 year in the middle of the, 1 day in the middle of the year, and then a day on either end of the year. And 40 days, so 4 weeks of 10 days. That gives us 339 days in a year. And that was 4. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, because there's only 8 months. Then 1, 2, 3, that was those extra days. 339 versus 424. But only 8 months. I think what I'll do, I'm not too keen on having just Jan, Feb, March, April, May. So I might do my own. I think I like this one better. And I know it's a lot of dicking around. I know there's stuff that you can sort of better spend your time on, but having 10 months, 42 days, if you did 2.5 months, so 2.5 months, that means per season. So the months are equally distributed. They always start on the same day. I can make up my own. So day names, month names, week names, season names. I mean, one of them, because one of them is going to be the season of atrocities. And what happens in the season of atrocities is Starfall, Pepper's Heaven's Graveyard, and other places. There's actually a couple of other Starfalls that I've got working. That it is significant when when there is Starfall outside of Heaven's Graveyard. It's usually like a huge boon for whoever's territory it lands in. But I think that's the idea. And that gives me 424 days. Which is... I mean, you can cleanly cut that in half. So what's that? 212? 212 is half. And then 106 is a quarter. $53 is an eighth. So that I think that's the idea, because then I can sort of then you have, I mean, your special days when you've got your 2 days at mid-year and 2 days at end-year. That gives you a clear, divisible sort of time period, and 2 days. I mean, if you want to have something good or something bad happen, 2 days and one night. I mean, that's a pretty, that's a nice package to put in, and there can be celestial mechanics involved as to why there's all. I mean, the season of atrocities already has a reason why it happens, and all the horrible shit happens. Anyway, the point being, 4,000 years happen. So name there. So name. First atrocity is something we're going to have to work out. See, this is timeline shit. And then this was, and then I'm going to say, I used to say 1,000 things happened. And what I was going to do is have a big table with 1,000 things on it. Bad things. Because what happened is the first atrocity heralded in this 4,000 years, and then and shit just went down. That was when everything fell apart. The main things, like, that's when the gods left, time got strange, monsters walked the earth, we gained primacy, all of that sort of thing. Wars happened, all of the bad shit. And we're still in that period. In old Razgoth, that ended 50 years ago with the signing of the Storm Accords. But that lent a very, like, maybe that's a different mood of game, but I want the back to be up against the wall in this world. So with 1,000 things, so that's what? That's one every 4 years. One every 4 years. Which even 5 years ago might have sounded a little bit crazy. But I think in the sort of world that we're in now, it's not actually that crazy. So I think that's the idea. That's the way to go there. Just make sure I don't knock everything off. And then we do, and I think I need to have 4,000, let's say five major things. And I want, so there's going to be, I'm going to have one called the Soul Shatter, which is where, do I have that in the, I think I have that in my, got the Eschatologist's Guild twice. I don't have the Soul Shatter in there, in the to-do list. These are all things to add. So the Soul Shatter was something that happened to the elves. I'm going to put, the gods leaving. So that's when the gods left as well. This is, it's one of the main things that's always sort of interested me is in these games the gods are there, and the gods do exist, and the gods give people power. You know, they're clerics and their wars are fought, all that, but they very rarely manifest. And when they do, I think of I think of the time of troubles in Toril. And how like that was a major event. That was like a BC AD historical level event. It's interesting, but the gods have always existed. I don't know. There's just something interesting about that. If I was, I guess it's this is it, right? We live in this Judeo-Christian sort of world, where you think of gods as all powerful, but if you've only got domain over a certain element or emotion aspect of the world, of the prime material, I guess you can't just manifest immediately and off you go. But I mean, this is my sort of exploration of that. The gods did leave. The gods were forced out by something. Like, again, or the point being, part of the point, one of the factions in this world is the Eschatologists Guild. And they are trying to, they're like historians and scholars, explorers, all of that sort of thing. And they are trying to figure out what the go is, whether there is a pattern. And there's, conspiracy theorists, there's guys, there's scientists in there who are trying to like predict, is the earth cooking itself to death? No way, that wouldn't happen. That couldn't happen. What are you talking about, right? So yeah, but the gods leaving, like all of these 4,000 years of darkness, trying to be pieced together by people in this one little city and maybe one or two other places that are trying to like figure it out, right? So the gods, so the soul shatter happened to the elves, the gods leaving. Do we want to put the first atrocity in there? Maybe. I feel like what about every 800 years is pretty good. And I'll put another three in there. Anyway, there's the 3, there's the 5, plus the first atrocity. Anyway, that's timeline shit. But this, see, we're sort of filling it in as we go. So we've got Frozen Wave Country, we've got Barren Spur, Horondoza, yep. The 3 Borderlands, so that's these little bits in here where the 4 big boys touch. Okay. I think I might need to go lie down. I did have a coffee this morning, so because I got heart plugged, I didn't have coffee. I also didn't sleep very well, though. Um, I'm I'm tired. Okay, Frozen. So we're gonna do. So your Borderlands. So 1, 2, 3. I I don't know about those. Um, I think they're gonna be so. Uh, Danger. I'm gonna put Danger and Love. Um, because I'm sure even in those places, there's going to be people meeting and like this is what I mean, right? Like we're just one. We are kind of just one big entity, right? There's always, no matter how pure you go, like you're gonna be impure by someone else's metric, and then even like and the like being the most pure, like what does that mean? I don't know. I just so yeah, anyway, there's going to be interesting things happening in the Borderlands. I wanted to make a special point of those. I think they're actually going to flesh out like these bits the most, sort of the best. I don't know, paint in some shades of grey. um the archipelago, the archipelago. I'm going to call the Underdark the Vast Darken. That was from our. I showed the. Let's have a look. Let's have another look. Let's read about it. Let's read. Reading and learning together. What fun. Okay. So, cartographer. Our Magnum and companion. Dirty old D&D Masters book. Okay, Crystal Spheres. J. Paul LaFountain. This is a advanced D&D second edition. This was a book that was given to me by a kid at the school I went to, and he was going to. He traded it in for some weed, which I do not think I gave him. Spelljammer. Obviously it's a Spelljammer. Module. That's your little spaceship. Now, and did it open up? Yeah, it did. Yeah, there you go. Oh, Castle Skyview. Kick ass. Yeah. And you had. So basically there were planets, and there was one. Vast Darken. So the planets of fairy space. This was. I think the idea was that there was a vampire and he was like vampirizing entire planets. And you had to go from hero space. You had to go from hero space through to. There was fairy space, and then there was dark space, I think. Great space. Yeah, and there's your. I mean, it's so like that. that's a map in a published D&D module. And look at how, see, so much text. This is, I want to, it kind of is the tradition that I come from. I'm not saying that that's bad, and I'm not saying that the modern version of D&D is bad at all. I actually love the art that comes from it. But it's just that it's pretty clear which one's doing the heavy lifting to me there, and so I just went into, there's still some okay art in there that sets the tone a little bit. But yeah, so hero space, fairy space, and great space. And I think they were Talan, that was his name. It was so they're basically, from what I can gather, the space. So hero space was a solar system, essentially, and Talan is the vampire. Talan was the vampire, and he literally got his fangs into it, and he was vampirizing entire dark space. There we go, dark space. I don't remember the particular. Dark space is a sunless, shadowy void that has long been dead. Life does not occur naturally here, but rather the undead have claimed it as their own. And all the better, for no living thing would willingly call dark space home. Physically, the system has no planets. It is dominated by the large husk of its dark sun. Debris of an unknown and strange nature floats in various orbits around the dead sun, some pieces the size of small moons and small planets. Unlike normal wild space, which maintains a constant temperature, dark space is always cold with strong, biting winds. Although natural life occurs nowhere, various groups of undead of Talan's creation roam the great hunks of rock floating in dark space. In the furthest orbit from the dead sun is the largest rock of the sphere, nearly the size of a planet. It is on this lifeless piece of debris that Talan has made his home. That's right, yeah, dark space was a thing. But I've never been super clear on how Spelljammer works. But I am, as a mark of it's because it's all ships, right? It's ship to ship combat, and it's the same as psionics. I didn't really get into psionics. This is just water as well. It's an old coffee cup, so there's probably dregs in there. Anyway, I'm not having any more caffeine. I did have one. Vast Darken. That was the one name that stuck with me, even to the point where I've always called my Underdark, I wanted to call it Vast Dark, and I was like, I'm sure I've heard that fucking name before. Wasn't until I reread or flicked through this, I found this and flicked through it a couple of years ago and went, oh my god, that's actually mine. That's not actually mine. That's not mine, is what I meant to say. But I'm still going to use the name Vast Darken. I think it's a good name. It's a good evocative name, and it sort of illustrates what I'm trying to do with the Underdark. in this world. There's something sticky on the back of this. Anyway. Live streams. Bodhi contending with sticky stuff. Anyway, so the vast darken is in there. And you know, there's also something called the sun line, which is where the sun falls, like you're either above the sun line or below the sun line, and there's an aquatic sun line and a terran sun line. That's sort of, if you're below the sun line, you're in the vast darken. Anyway, the archipelago. Now, I don't know. I called them the Sentinels in old Razgoth. I don't know. I feel like there might be something better there. And I don't actually know what I'm going to do with them. I think that might be the pirate thing. I want to call this the Frozen Vault as well. I quite like that name. The Frozen Vault, or maybe the Island of Was. The Island of Was? Maybe, I don't know. Was Island? I don't know. Still playing with it. I really like the idea of the frozen vaults though, like a literal underground, like it's far from the sun, the sea's very deep, a lot of pressure, and it just freezes. Like there's a sub-aquatic plane of ice down there, like, yeah. And there's rumours, because again, there's islands, 1, 2, 3, 4 each. And now that I look at it, each of the islands is actually significant, except for this thing out here. But like I say, there might be something going on there. And I like that this doesn't have an island, but there's rumours that there was. So frozen part, frozen wave country. Oh, wait. That's right. Or the Moonlight Ice. The Moonlight Ice. Yeah, baby. The Moonlight Ice. There you go. Brox, baby. I think that winter's going to be pretty brutal here, because I've got ideas for frost in all of the fucking areas. Even Heaven's Graveyard. Big Island and the Little Island. One of them, I'm going to call the big one Gravelight. Gravelight Island. Right. And the little one's where the... So the idea here is that there's something significant on the big one. And because Hyber's way up in the tippy top of the area, this area... This part of the sea freezes, and there's a pilgrimage that certain people have to make, and I don't know who it is, but they have to make the pilgrimage. And the significance of this island is that it is accessible all year round because it's only just off the coast. But there's something in here. Maybe this is the Charybdis in here. Maybe there's a Charybdis or something in. Oh, yeah, I like that. So, Charybdis. That stops anything coming through. And these guys, Baron Spur and everything, they keep trying to get there too, but they keep sinking as well. It's an absolute fucking shit show. But you can't get through to Gravelight Island, but you can get through to the little one, and there's someone that lives on the little one that is... basically, they spend all year petitioning, and like that's where all of the... not all of the politics, but the politics pertaining to Gravelight Island, like, and the one who I want to call him the seneschal of the little island, needs a more metal name than the little island. We'll think about it. That's another one. Three islands top left. So these are... I know this is a bit of a run over of the... I feel a little bit cruddy doing this, but this is going to be Holdo, Fresno, and what was the other one? Oh, wait, do they? No, they don't. Five Seas and Oceans, what were they? There we go. Grotto, Holdo, Friezo. Grotto. Yeah, okay, and here we go. Grotto, Holdo, and Friezo, and we're going to say... Grotto. Grotto means granted. That's the one that's always been in control of the Scourhage. Scours? Scours? Scoldhage. Granted, Holdo is the held, because it's being held against Hyber, because it's in the borderland. That's like, it's probably the main conflict site out of this whole unfortunate setup. And then Friezo, we're going to call it the Free, because it's the furthest out. It's got the most lax laws, and that is something that Scourhage is actually not a fan of. So there we go. Grotto, Holdo, Friezo. The temptation is to call this little archipelago, Slythe. I don't know. The Slythe Archipelago. Not sure. Not entirely sure. Five seas and oceans. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so how about Scourment? Scourment? No. I was going to call them combinations of each one. I only had... Oh, no, wait a second. There we go. I've got the Groaning Cloak and the Dark Water. This is the Dark Water. That's another... So, another... That was another, like, 90s Saturday morning cartoon, was the Pirates of the Dark Water. I think I only saw, like, 2 episodes of it. And I quite enjoyed it. It was about a kid that had, like, his father's broken sword, and that was, like, the weapon that he used. And the whole idea was he was solving the bad guy killed his dad off. His dad was the captain of the ship. He got, like, marooned or whatever, and the only thing he had to show for it was his dad's broken sword, but it was useless as a weapon, so he had to, like, make friends and negotiate and all of that. And it was like solving your problems without violence. And yeah, I didn't see much of it, but I remember it because it was very colourful and stuff like that. I remember and then who was it? Drawn Together, Xander, the gay RPG character, piss take in Drawn Together, reminded me a lot of the main character from Pirates of Dark Water. Anyway, the Dark Water, because this is very deep and dark, and it's between the mountain range and the feralized. I feel like Plutaria is going to be like where the feralized stuff is, right? But anyway, and then this is going to be the Groaning Cloak, because with a Charybdis, with a whirlpool, with a supernatural storm just off the coast, the sea is always very erratic. I would feel like calling this one just Blood Sea. Blood Sea. Because that's where that's the majority of the bloodshed between all of these places. Trade routes, all of that. This is this the widest of the seas? Apart from Earth or Sar. This sea here, this is shallow and swampy. If you go back and look at the other stream that I did in World Anvil, which I know after... Oh, other way. Yeah, there we go. If you go back and watch the other stream that I did, where I Wonder Drafted this map into Wonder Draft sort of before it started stuttering really badly, but I actually there was quite a lot of broken land and swampy bits and pieces, and like maybe even one or two little tiny islands in this sea. I don't want it to be like walkable, but I think it's going to be famously very it's not going to be very saleable, but it is going to be very dangerous. So there's going to be, I don't know what to do with that. Shallow, swampy, dangerous. And there's a reason why it is like that. Which is another part of, we might get into that in another part of maybe this stream. I think I might actually stream later on. I might round this up before too long, because I am building up a few things, but I'm also, my eyes are burning. I'm really tired. Anyway, so the Dark Water, the Groaning Cloak, Blood Sea, something going on here, and then I want to say Seren Wave, as in serene waves, because I feel like this is going to be like relatively, it's probably the largest of the sea, like the, and it's going to be, I feel like these guys are probably going to be like almost good guys, almost, yeah, Seren Wave. And then I wanted something, I wanted a big one around the outside, as the trailer park girls go outside. And I feel like something with the horizon, but then also I don't know, so the moons as well. This is something, I think I'm going to call one of the moons Charon. There's going to be a second one as well. So what I do is I go through, I do all of this sort of stuff. As I go through, I underline all of the little bits that need elaboration, and I make a note of them, and then that's what goes into the to-do list. This probably would have been a bit easier if I'd gotten the map sorted out properly. But I'm working towards that. I just thought I'd keep in the direction where we're just sort of getting things blocked in. There's been a lot of scribbling on this. Outside, so Charon. This is the moon, because I'm just thinking about the sky, because I want something in the feature of the ocean, or all the water around the outside, is that you can, like, it just seems to go on forever. And I don't want something like the Eversea. I feel like the sky, I don't know. It's going to be something to think about. I might go and have a look at my other bits and pieces. I'm sure I can come up just the horizon. I'm thinking like the horizon zones, which makes me think of the Zonzon. I mean, we want it to be a bit surreal, right? Maybe the Zonzon. Maybe Zonzon. Zone, Horizon Zone. Zonzon sort of has a... It's like pretty ambiguous, right? I'm liking that the more and more I say it. Zonzon. The catch, I mean, up here, so this part of the world, this pinnacle here, which does, I mean, it's going to need a name. This is one of the areas. These, I haven't even laid in the cities and stuff. This is just all the basic geography that's sort of been sitting in here. I'm just trying to string it all together properly. I've literally got about 40 things in the to-do list on World Anvil. I wrote all of these in, and I'm just going through and sort of putting names to them. I know it's very unorganised, but yeah. Zonzon, the last city, yeah. So that's Hallow, which is in here. So those, I mean, these are about the only two cities we know about at the moment. All right. Hello. And I don't know. I've got some ideas for this one. Not sure yet, but I'll go through and lay in some... I don't know. I don't even know about scale. What I wanted to do is have that be, I think it was 10,000 kilometers across. But then I wonder... Oh, look at those greasy pencils I used are so much fun. And then so Hallow, we've got that one up there. We'll come back to those. The cities will come in time. Or maybe they're the starting point. I think this is the starting point here, Hallow, in Death Deep Rift. It's pretty much the only thing that I've got on Flesh, or even it's the one article I've got on World Anvil at the moment. And then the Heaven's Graveyard Gates. So there's going to be... I'm going to say there's 5 gates. And they are going to be... because the whole idea, like, Heaven's Graveyard is kind of the main sort of event. That's where everyone wants to go, because that's where all the weird shit is, all the weird cool shit. So there's gonna be, well, Hyber have got a big one, and Scourhage has got one as well. Now I want Tormentor. There is one there, but it's been plugged up, so that doesn't actually count as one. Horrendosa has a small one, so that's 1, 2, 3. Back in the day, Plutaria had one, and that's kind of a... it's fallen into ruin, and I think that's actually going to be the cause of a lot of problems. I don't know what the go is with Plutaria yet. I don't know if it's just unclaimed, or if it is, or if it was an empire and it now is not. I'm not 100% sure. I know, like, the reason, the germ of the idea was that it is going to be, um, it's going to be full of ruins and weird and wonderful stuff, and I actually think that it's going to be falling to the influence of Heaven's Graveyard a lot. Anything can come out of Heaven's Graveyard. There's, like I say, there's reasons why Heaven's Graveyard is the way it is, and I think Plutaria is where a lot of shit is going to be coming out of this gate. There may even be like a bit of a coalition. They're either trying to plug the ruined gate or gain profit from it. Maybe that's something. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't know if Hallow has one. They are in the fence. I'm calling this the graveyard fence. I don't know. I think there might be rumours of another gate, possibly one that comes up from below. I'm going to write isolationist in Tormentor as well. I feel like they had a gate and they literally just sealed it up, for one reason or another. I think there might be, and I think each gate's going to be a special place. Well, it's all going to be special places, right? But they're each going to have their own names and stuff. Hyber, Scourhage, Horrendosa, Tormentor, but crossed out, Plutaria, and then Hallow, maybe. I'm also thinking that Hallow might run stealth runs just into the Plutarian one. I'm not sure yet. And then a hidden, I'm going to put Central Gate. And there is a rumour that it actually just pops up in the middle. It's like a tunnel or it Starfall punched through into the vast dark, and someone's got a highway to hell going on there. Earth Orsar, Earth Oversea, the Grand Occlusion, the Moons, Charon, and a second one, Scoldhage. I'll keep in mind. That'll go into the thingo. And there we go. So more talking about. I mean, we're fleshing things out now. And this is all. I think what's going to happen is this will sit in a stand, and I will just be typing and laying in things as I go. I don't know quite where the other cities are. It's tempting just to put cities either right at the tips of the peninsulae or right in the crotch of the bays. I think that that's something that we're going to have to work out. What I will say, so there'll be hidden ruins here. There'll be, let's say, each there's going to be a city in at least one borderland, one border city. There's going to be gate cities, capitals, towns, and so forth. I'm going to put Heaven's Graveyard. I think so. What's that? 1, call it 2. So 3. 3, 2, 5. Heaven's Graveyard, 1 if at all, and then 10 creepy towns, which are a whole other box and dice. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14. So 24 settlements. 24 major settlements, anyway. That's given me... We're laying things in. I think there is enough to sort of go on there to... I think I need to start writing things, whether by hand or not. Maybe not. And I think that's sort of where we're gonna begin. I am really quite worn out. I'm going to go and lie down. See if this heart monitor thing wants to take it a bit easy. Give it some good information. And go from there. I may actually stream tonight again. I don't know. I think this is where we can start sort of falling in love with the process and building that world. I would like to test this graphics tablet with Wonderdraft, but I don't think I'll be able to do that on stream. I think streaming and Wonderdraft, I mean, even if I'm not streaming, like screencasting Wonderdraft. But there we go. We've got hopefully this is a bit of a, we've filled out a lot more really kind of basic geography, but that's also fed into, there's a little bit of cultural stuff here. I also, just as an aside with the quote-unquote cultural stuff, I do find it limiting. I'm trying to push the idea that this is a world for stories first and games second. I've said before, the sort of stories I want to tell doesn't really gel with Dungeons and Dragons, and I know there are other systems out there. I've mentioned, I've got quite a few systems out there. Quite a few systems out there. There are quite a few systems out there. I'm looking at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Call those both together. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 systems. 14. 15, 16, 17, 18. Call it 19 combined Cybe and Merkberg. Anyway. And Blades in the Dark. So there's I'm looking at 20 odd systems, and I would say I have a passing familiarity with maybe half of them, maybe a little bit less than half. Call it less than half, because there's one or two there I'm going to say into the odd and esoteric enterprises that I've bought, I've flicked through. I haven't really read them cover to cover, but all the rest of them like I say, a little bit less than half of them, but I've read all of them except for those two, and then there's about 8 or 9 of them in there that I have played enough to have a decent familiarity. There's 1 or 2 in there that I've played to death and that I'm sick to death of. It's a little bit sort of limiting, these sorts of, it's not just D&D. I'm not saying this is a world for D&D. D&D is just the main point of reference everyone has. I don't think that this world jives well with a D&D storyline. I'd love to run something like Warhammer in there, but Warhammer's also, the setting and the rules are so interlinked. There you go. That you don't really... you can't run Warhammer Fantasy anywhere but the Warhammer universe, right? But I think that system would be more suited to the sort of thing that I'm going for here. It's not all necessarily mud and blood, but yeah, it's not the high fantasy sort of thing that I'm going for. But so I understand. I also want to do more. There's more depth than just these. A little word list. It's an interesting experiment doing, working light, like I've said, with these world, these aesthetic recipes that I've done, but also trying to get them in depth enough to make a certain sort of sense, and give these locations and people and all of the things in a world, you want them all to have depth, right? But anyway, so we've got a very basic sort of setup there. That's also what articles are going to be for. A bit of a timeline, and then even a calendar. So we're it's all working in together. But I think that we're getting closer and closer to the time when I just need to make a start on actual physical places. So there you go. That's fairly standard. This is also all stuff just to finish up. I'm definitely crashing a bit. This is all stuff that I've already had. I'm going to say, I've written down Skuldhage there and put a mark on that, because that is a new word for me. All of this other stuff, Heaven's Graveyard, all of these things have all been in my memory, or I've used them in other places for years. I'm just trying to get it all together in a package that I like, that I can tell some stories in. And it's also just fun. I feel like this has already been productive, and I've only been going for 2 hours. I went for 8 hours this time last week. I think I'm going to close it down there, though. When I come back, and I may come back tonight, I'm going to be... we might have a look at blocking a little bit of this in and working in World Anvil. And at some point, I need to properly map this out. I'm also going to tentatively say that I'm going to start learning to draw, i.e. learning not Photoshop, but Affinity or Inkscape, GIMP, any number of... I mean, there's heaps of drawing programs out there. Critter. I think learning to draw is going to be something. This stream deck, I haven't done a whole heap of scene transitions at the moment. I've got all of my scenes set up. But I will also, now that I've used that toy a little bit, I will get into using this. I'll set up this graphics tablet at some point as well. That will also help with all of this stuff. I'd love to do this sort of thing digitally. It's just that I don't have the skills yet. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to finish it up there, guys. Thank you for watching, if any of you did. I'm pretty sure it's just been me this whole time. I've done quite a big overhaul on my stream setup. Again, not because I'm even particularly interested in becoming a full-time streamer, but this stuff has been really edifying for me in a pretty shitty time of life. Thank you, and I will see you again before long. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff.